Craig, when did you notice that you don't have to worry about your personal income anymore? At what level of growth in hiring staff and growing and scaling and expanding in that way that it was no longer a question of I'm going to sacrifice some of my income in order to bring that next person on?
Well, I think if you have a certain revenue target and then a certain profit target, and your profit target could be anywhere as small as 10%. In my firm, it's a 29 to 30% is my goal. And the larger your firm gets, the harder it is to reach that goal of 29 to 30% in profit. But that's kind of a gold standard for large personal injury firms, is if you can get to that, no matter how big you are, you're going to make plenty of money. So even at seven figures, if you just hit seven figures, if you make $300,000, including or not including your salary, that's a different conversation. But if not including your salary, you make 30%. That's amazing. Even at $1 million, if you make 15% plus your salary, that's 150 plus whatever salary you pay yourself. You're at 250, like you said earlier. And again, I'm not a lavish guy, but making $250,000 a year when you're 34 years old and have one kid ain't so bad. You're fine. And then as you scale up, then at that point, since as I said, I'm not a particularly lavish guy, once you hit 200, 250, you're going to have a couple colleges to pay for. You might have an expensive spouse or an expensive lifestyle. But once you hit that, if you're not crazy, then that starts to be at the point where it's revenue producing. So again, why the number 250? There's no magic reason. It's just from my lifestyle, I figured that once I got to that point in net income, either before or after taxes, that everything else it started to become gravy and started to become just fun.
So in your own personal journey, do you remember what your firm looked like when you started to make that level of income from the firm?
Sure.
Were you still solo? Did you already have an attorney? And this is just so people can kind of like conceptualize what it might look like for them.
Sure. I think I hit that at about 7 staff, and maybe I had 1 or 2 attorneys. And 7 staff was also the key metric for me to when I hired an office manager. And it was my first office manager. And I think one of my skills as a business person is realizing when to hire and who to hire. And people have said, how did you learn that skill? And that's when I struggle answering how I learned that skill. But the only thing that I can think about, because I was probably, 35 years old at the time, 34, was learning from mentors, learning from groups, learning from other people, asking them, okay, when did you hire this person? When did you hire your first receptionist? When did you hire? I depended on other people to tell me, people I respected, and I actively sought out other mentors and other people who are personal injury attorneys. If you are shy and don't ask those questions, you're never going to know. But if you're a member of a Facebook group or a mastermind or your organization, Moshe, and you ask that specific question, when do you hire a receptionist? Who do you hire first, a receptionist or an office manager? Who do you hire first, a paralegal or a secretary? These are great questions, and listen to people who have done it to scale like me. And I tell people, I know lawyers who have 15 to 20 staff and they don't have an office manager. And I coach them privately. I say, I'm not talking to you again. I cannot coach you unless you get an office manager next month, because you're running everything wrong and you're doing payroll and you're listening to vacation requests. And that's far below your skill level. So there are certain times when you should hire certain people. And I can say once you've asked enough people, you'll come to terms with when you should hire certain people. But that is where you should be spending your money. Documenting processes is what I would call phase 2. But you have to get to phase 1, which is you have to have people who help you first. So hire to your capacity, borrow if you have to, take a line of credit, but you've got to be a lawyer extender. You've got to have a lawyer extender, just like doctors have physician extenders.